So I decided what we're going to name this series. Or we're going to name it So It's Good Enough. And that was my original series names when I first started TikTok. So we're going to go back to it. And pretty much what this is going to be, it's going to be a beginner friendly sewing project series. And every month we're going to make 4 things. We're going to make a top, some bottoms, accessory. So like that can be like a sweater, a purse, anything that you could like probably wear or use in an outfit, and then some kind of home decor or like random project. And from there, we let the jar choose. And so this was the jar that we put all the little note cards in. And if you have any, whoops, if you have any ideas, you can let me know in the comments and I'll add them in here. So anything you really want to see, whether it's the applique part of it or you want to see a tutorial for something specific. And so yesterday we chose our little topics. And so we're doing an accessory this week. And so we're doing a laptop sleeve with a tin of tomatoes on it. Woo! I don't know why I did that. But we're going to try and keep it simple because it's the first project. And like I said, this is for beginner friendly, or it's a beginner friendly project. And what the goal was to help you decide on what to make, because like for myself, I always get stumped on like what do I want to make next. And so that's where the jar comes in and we let it choose for us. So we're going to start with measuring our laptops. And this isn't going to be a template that I can give you because everybody's laptop is going to be a different size, but I'm going to show you exactly how to measure it and how to make your own template. And then from there, I'll provide you with a template for the tomatoes. And so, yeah, let's get started. I actually ended up writing everything right here because I didn't want to be too off topic on this. So first we're going to find the length. Sorry. So we're adding the length. And while we find the length on your computer, you're going to add an inch on the left and the right. Okay. And then so here I have 13. So we're going to write down 13 for the length. And then now for the width, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add an inch on the top and an inch on the bottom. So that leaves me with 11. All right. So far for this, the actual iPad is, or my actual laptop is 9 by 11. This being my width and this being my length. And I suggest you also write it down so that way you don't get too confused. All right. And so on here, I wanted to show you. I'm actually going to record it so that way you can see it. So on here, I wanted to write or show you exactly how we're making this. So on here, I have the laptop, which is 11 by 9. So when we draw this, it should be 11. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. Yep. And we should have 9 across. So this is what's actually going to fit our computer. And so this is our laptop. Oh, that's really ugly. So this is our laptop, right? And so around that laptop, we're going to add that inch that we added here and that we measured out. And so that was the 13 by 11, and it's going to be different for you. So image-wise or visually, this is what we're doing. So we have an inch of space all the way around your computer. So when you think of this, think of it like how it's going to look when it's closed all the way completely. And so if you think about it, what happened? Okay, hold on. If you think about it, this is what the actual laptop case will look like closed and quilted around the laptop itself. Okay. And so we are going to make this all in one piece so we don't have like multiple little pieces to work with. It's just going to be one full strip. So there you see how we have the final dimensions, right? And so here, that would be like the final dimensions of our quilted laptop case. And so here I wrote down length plus 2 inches, width plus 2 inches, right? And so, oh, actually, my bad. This was actually supposed to be here. So 11 and 9. Maybe I should take my own advice on my writing. Okay, so now what we have here, so we're doing the final dimensions, so we know what our final measurements of our quilted, make sure you pay attention to that, quilted laptop sleeve is. And so we have 11 plus 2, and that's going to be 13, and then 9 plus 2 inches, which is the 11 inches. So now we have this, and this is the 13. Ooh, that's not the color we picked. This is the, let's go smaller. This is the 13. Oh, no, that's 11. Sorry. 11 by 13. Okay. And so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to create the template of what it would look like as it opened completely in that one full strip as our final quilted pattern, right? And so here, I'm going to show you what it's going to look like. So to make that, we're going to double disc. So think of this as being our front panel. And then we're going to add our, we're going to add the back panel. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. And then from here, we're going to add the actual, what it's going to look like once we cut it down to have that lid as an envelope. And so here, that's going to look like, oh, let me turn that off. So we have 5.5. All right. So that's what it's going to look like as it's expanded. And so when you think about this, this is the front, this is the back. And then this, when you think of this part right here, like how long this part is to the end, that's half of what this is. So if we were to take this triangle and move it over, it would come up to about here. So when you close it, it's halfway down the one panel. So when you're looking at this, you're going to do 1 plus this. So on here, I wrote it as B, right? So because that's our new dimensions on our quilted sleeve. So we have the width plus 2 inches, which is the 11. So we now have, we have 11 plus the, oh, that was rough, plus this part right here, which that part is 5.5, because 5.5 is half of 11. So yours might be different, right? It could be like 13 plus 6.5, or it could be 15 plus 15 plus 7.5. And so that's how we're going to do it. So it should be duplicate and then half of whatever this one single number is. Okay. And so that's how we're going to cut that out at the very end after we've already quilted it. Remember, so like when you start layering it and you start sewing it, you don't want to cut it to the size that you need it to be, because once you start sewing it, it's going to shift a little bit. And so then when you start like trying to align it, it's going to be a little off because of how much it's taking up fabric to go into the groove, like not the groove, but like where the quilted part is. So it takes like the smallest amount of fabric off, and then when you multiply that off of like however many stripes you make, it throws your measurements off. So normally I like to quilt it first for like however, like a big rectangle, and then I cut it to whatever I need. So that's what the final quilted part is, right? And so before we get to that, we have to cut out what we can work with. And so we're going to make a big rectangle. And so to make that big rectangle now, so we have, what would this be? So we have 11 plus 11 is 22 plus where's my calculator? I'm going to use a calculator because I don't want to keep track of this in my head. I don't want to mess this up. So 11 plus 11 plus 5.5. So we have 27.5, right? And what we're going to do from there to add, to give us a little bit more room to work with, is you can add 2 inches to each side. And so from here, we're going to add the 2 inches around, and we're going to just make this a simple rectangle because that's what we could work with. And so you can round it to the nearest inch. And so, oh, it didn't go 2 inches, sorry. And so as we cut our fabrics, this is actually what we're going to cut on our fabric. And I'll show you that in the tutorial. So right now we're not cutting anything. We're just getting what we need to have for dimensions, okay? And so here, if you think about it, like if you wanted to quilt it, we could quilt it like this, you know? So you could quilt like every inch, like every other, or yeah, every inch. And you could just do a stitch all the way across, you know? Or you could do a cross, like, or a, what is it called? Like a grid. And so it's up to you how you want to quilt that part. But we'll leave that to a later time, right? And so what we did here is we took this measurement of the inside one of our final opened quilted measurements, and we're going to add 4 inches to that, okay? And so we're going to change this here because I want to have enough room for us to have some leeway in it. So we have A, which was the 13 for me. So A plus 4, and so that's going to be 17 for me now. And then we have B plus the half of the B. So for me, that was 27.5, and now we're going to add 4, and so that leaves me with 31.5, right? But to make it easier, I can just cut it at 32. So that way it's easier to cut and I don't have to measure like half. So that's what we're working with right now. So our first cut is going to be that 17 by 32. And it's going to be different for you, right? So at this point, you should have measured your laptop, added an inch, added 2 inches to each side, right? So in total, away from this, from the border of your laptop, we're adding 3 additional inches. And then from there, obviously you need a front panel, a back panel, and then the lid, okay? So that's our dimensions for this so far. And on the template, when I provide it for the tomatoes, maybe I just do like a simple like pattern page of how to measure this for your laptop sleeve. That can be like more like fill in the blank, because I can't just give you these measurements and then hope it fits yours. So maybe I'll make a little worksheet for this and then you can just fill it in. And I think that would be easier than explaining it. But if you do get lost, you can refer back to this part right here and hopefully it helps you. And so, yeah, so we've gotten that as far as what we need for this part. When it comes to the tin of tomatoes, I'll design that later. And for the time being, I did want to share with you the fabrics that we're going to use. And then because we're running a little bit behind on schedule, I say this like I'm not in charge of my own schedule in doing this, but I owe you something, you know, that's how I feel. And so with this, we have made the dimensions that we need for our pattern, specifically for the laptop case. And then I wanted to share with you the fabrics that I'm thinking about using. So some of them are scraps, some of them are things that I had. And so I haven't really picked out what I'm going to use where, but I had a lot of this left over from my honeybee, or from my Honeybell quilt. And so I'm not sure how I want to use this, but I think this might be a good backing, or I could use it in the can. Not sure yet. So we'll decide that once we get to it. And so what my plan is, I like to take pictures of this, and then like once I draw it, I fill in whatever we have on the image. I fill it in with the fabric that I'm going to use. And so that's one option. For the tomatoes, I have these reds that I wanted to use. I think this is all the reds that I have. So I'm thinking a solid and a little micro fabric or micro floral print, because I feel like with this, it'll like ground it a little bit for my tomatoes. So we have that. When it comes to the leaves and the vines and stuff, I had picked out a few greens. And so some of this is from the Honeybell quilt that you guys have seen in my post. And so he's sleeping right next to me. And so I have this green, this micro floral green, and then I have this striped green. And so some of these are just scraps. And then I have this little like green with circles. So I'm not sure how I'm going to use it, but I can like incorporate this into like the vines and the leaves, and or maybe I do like a couple like half and half leaves. And so that's where my head's at with that. I also have this other fabric. So instead of the striped ones, I also thought about this floral one, which is what I used on the flowers for my Honeybell quilt. And I really love this one. And the only worry I have about this is that it'll get dirty really fast. I feel like if I do the whole like main background with this. But let me know which one you like better, the striped or this floral. And then to incorporate into the can, I thought maybe it would be fun to like incorporate some of this denim that I have. And so it's a really soft denim. I don't know what type of fabric it is. I'm not an expert in fabrics, so I just used whatever fabrics I have or whatever I like, and we hope that it works. And so I have this little denim, and I thought this would be so cute on the can, or maybe even as the trim. So if I have enough to go all the way around and make like the bias trim, maybe like a jean trim will look cute on it. And then for the tomato, these are scraps. Must have been hiding in it. And then for the tomato scrap or tomato flowers, I thought about this really bright yellow, which I know it's like very off the wall from this color palette, but I like the thought of like having these like little pops of yellow in it. And so yeah, that's the fabrics I've chosen so far. You don't have to have as many fabrics. I think just pick them out for right now, and then when we start going into it, we can decide then, because it's all applique, so it's not like we're sewing it in. We're going to be like layering this. So yeah, tomorrow I'm hoping to have the templates done for you. Unfortunately, we can't get to cutting today because I'm behind, but hopefully tomorrow I have the templates and just the templates ready for you. And then from there, I'll start recording the tutorial tomorrow. So that means possibly by tomorrow night or by Friday, you should have the tutorial so you can like get started. And like I said, hopefully in like the weeks as it comes by, I'm going to try and get ahead. So then by that day, you can also start as well. Okay. And so that's it for right now. Yeah, I'll show you guys the tomato tomorrow.